Now at 6, a new executive order from President Donald Trump aiming to restrict mail-in voting. We'll break down the order plus how local lawmakers are reacting coming up in a live report.
And with wildfire season right around the corner, the state of Washington is breathing a little easier. Millions of dollars meant for fighting wildfires that were cut last year now restored, where the money's being allocated ahead. Plus.
So Teresa, what's your secret to a long life?
Wine.
Yes, ma'am. Wise words from a woman celebrating her 99th birthday, but she wanted just more than wine for her big day. A look at the unique guests that were invited to her party coming up as your news at sunrise starts right now. Glass of wine a day keeps the doctor away, or whatever they say.
That's what they say.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm China Green.
And I'm Matthew Herchick. Glad to have you with us. Chris McGinnis, final day off, so we'll see him back here tomorrow. But then,
does he still work here?
Then Rod's going to be gone.
I'll be out of here for a couple days.
So we're just like
the band will never be back together.
Never again, apparently.
Hey, we have a rainy day. Again, no watches, no warnings, no advisories of any kind for the coast or the valley today. But we do have storm warnings of different names, if you will, up and down the Cascade Range today. So be prepared for winter traveling conditions up over the high country. Right now, radar is showing snow in the Cascades, and we've got what is broken into just some scattered, mostly gentle showers right now. But see the steady rain offshore. This will overall be a rainy day. The rain's going to be increasing again this morning, turning heavier into the afternoon hours. Here's our state capitol live camera down in Salem, 46 degrees. The bricks are wet as we look over the Pioneer Courthouse from the Pioneer Park building, also 46 degrees. So raincoat at the bus stop. There will be rain around when the kids are out there waiting. Sun up this morning, 6:50. Absolutely steady rain and could be fairly heavy even at noon today, 51. And still really wet when the kids get out of school, and it will be about 50, which is a wet, certainly on the cool side, April 1st. Back to you.
All right, Rod, thank you. Well, we are starting with breaking news overnight. One person has died following a crash between a motorcycle and a vehicle at the intersection of Northeast Sandy Boulevard and Northeast 141st Drive. Now, just in the last 20 minutes or so, the scene has cleared and Sandy Boulevard, you can see, is now reopened. This is what the scene looked like about an hour ago. The crash happened just before 1 o'clock this morning. Portland police say the motorcyclist was taken to the hospital where they later died. No word on if the driver of the other vehicle was injured, but officers say they did stay on the scene.
Oregon leaders are pushing back against a new executive order from President Trump targeting voting by mail.
Yeah, the order would create a national list of eligible voters and restrict who can receive ballots. State officials say it could interfere with how Oregon runs their elections. Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson is live this morning with that response from local leaders. Corey.
Yeah, good morning, Matthew. China state leaders here say the executive order could change how ballots are distributed, and it also raises constitutional concerns about who exactly controls elections. Now, that executive order calls for a nationwide list of eligible voters and would limit who can receive mailed ballots. It would also prohibit the U.S. Postal Service from mailing ballots to people not on state-approved voter lists. Under the current law, counties in Oregon and nationwide are responsible for maintaining voter rolls and sending ballots to registered voters. It's a process Oregon has used statewide since the 1990s. Now, state leaders argue that conflicts with the Constitution, that executive order, now which gives states authorities over the times, places, and manner of elections. As Oregon leaders push back, the president says the order is about protecting elections.
There is no role for the federal government here. The heartbeat of our democracy is the ability of Oregonians and Americans to hold politicians and government accountable.
We want to have honest voting in our country, because if you don't have honest voting, you can't have really a nation.
Now, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has also weighed in, saying in a statement, in part, "We will fight this order with every tool available to us in order to protect Oregon's well-tested, fair electoral process. To every Oregonian, your vote is safe, your voice matters, and I will not let this administration silence you. Democracy is not negotiable, and neither is your right to vote. Now, Oregon's Attorney General has already signaled potential legal action, saying the state would challenge the executive order in court if needed. Matthew, China.
Corey Johnson reporting live. Thank you, Corey. And here are some important dates to mark on your calendar ahead of the primary election in May. April 28th is your last day to register to vote. On April 29th, ballots will start being mailed out to voters. May 19th is the last day to return ballots, and mailed ballots must be postmarked by that day, too. Key races to watch this year include a Senate seat held by Senator Jeff Merkley, who has confirmed that he will be running for another term. The governor's seat is also up for grabs. Incumbent Tina Kotek has confirmed that she will rerun, facing a widening pool of Republican candidates. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court ruled 8-1 that a ban on conversion therapy in Colorado violates free speech. Conversion therapy is a highly controversial practice of trying to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. It's been widely discredited by medical organizations who call it ineffective and harmful. The decision doesn't strike down the law, but it sends the case back to the lower courts. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the sole dissenting voice, writing that states should be free to regulate health care, even if that means some restrictions on free speech.
Portland's now famous protest frog is now on probation and has been ordered to stay away from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement building. That's where Seth Todd first got noticed when he wore an inflatable frog costume last year to protest the Trump administration's immigration efforts. Todd was arrested in January for not moving out of an officer's way. And after a plea deal this week, Todd will be on probation for the next 3 months and has been ordered to stay at least 3 blocks away from the ICE building. He's also not allowed to have anything the court calls a, quote, protest weapon, including paint, hammers, rocks, and balloons filled with liquid. And today, the University of Oregon will hold an online forum to address the recent nutritional guidelines from Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and what they mean for public health. Now, this as the American Heart Association is pushing back on the new federal dietary guidance. So back in January, RFK Jr. rolled out guidance encouraging Americans to eat more protein and full-fat dairy while cutting back on ultra-processed foods and added sugars. Now, while both sides agree on cutting ultra-processed foods and added sugar, the AHA disagrees with the new guidance on the fats and protein sources. The AHA recommends Americans eat less meat and instead opt for plant-based proteins. They added that recent data suggests eating plant-based proteins, lean meats, and fish are better for heart health than red meat. They also suggest to get fewer than 10% of your calories from saturated fat.
According to the Department of Environmental Quality, asbestos cleanup at the Southeast Portland Trader Joe's finished up yesterday. The store on Southeast Cesar Chavez Boulevard shut down earlier this month after material from the flooring tested positive for asbestos. No word from the store on when it plans to reopen. All right, so it may only be the 1st of April, but we are already looking ahead to wildfire season.
Washington is getting back tens of millions of dollars in funding for wildfire prevention after it was cut last year. Bridget Chavez with our sister station in Seattle explains why this is a major improvement to help the state fight fires.
The 2026 wildfire season is already taking shape.
We're seeing some initial potential signs of drought conditions.
Low snowpack and a potentially dry summer are raising concerns about how active this season could be. And it's not just a problem east of the Cascades anymore.
We saw 40% of the fires last year start in western Washington.
That includes the Bear Gulch fire on the Olympic Peninsula, which burned thousands of acres and pushed smoke into western Washington.
We're seeing more fires west of the Cascades. And last year, we saw more fires in western Washington than ever in history.
At the same time, the state was heading toward fire season with fewer resources. Lawmakers cut wildfire prevention funding in half, dropping it from $120 million to $60 million. Now, that $120 million is back, and that will go to local fire districts for equipment and training, plus
It means we can fund our AI cameras that detect smoke and notify us in places where we can't be. It means we can thin the forest to reduce the fuel risk. It means we can hire the firefighters and purchase the equipment we need.
Officials say the goal now, stop fires early before they become bigger, more destructive, and more expensive.
It's a lot cheaper to prevent and prepare for wildfire than to put out wildfires.
Headed over to Rod Hill for a look at weather now. Yes.
Well, I was just going to say, keep in mind when they talk about fires west of the Cascades, both Oregon and Washington, not always, but almost always, these are timber fires. And those are the ones that really burn hot. And of course, we have much higher population bases here on the west side than we do the east side as well. So a lot of reason to be concerned just with that part of the story, the fact that we're seeing more fires ignite on the west side of the Cascades. All right, let's talk about what's going on. We're going to add some snow up into the snowpack of the Cascades, both Oregon and Washington today, so that's good news. Here's the mothership low offshore. The low itself will come in overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, so we'll have the rain with us all the way into that period, the AM hours of your Thursday. Right now, it's been mostly the first wave of moisture has been fairly gentle and light. There are some breaks right now, but look how widespread the precipitation already is. And it will be filling in the gaps and becoming increasingly steady this morning. Snow up at Timberline, they're saying we got 3 new. They picked up 2 yesterday. 28 is the temperature up there right now. Raindrops on the lens from the Vancouver, the Springs of the waterfront camera there along the Columbia. 46 is the number. And here are the other temperatures. We're all about the same in the temperature department. There's not much wind out there, generally light to about 10 miles per hour right now. 47 in downtown Portland, 47 in Almsville and Albany as well. The map this afternoon. Clouds everywhere and rain chances everywhere. And again, steady rain picking up much of the morning into the afternoon for the I-5 corridor. Heavy rain rates will be this afternoon. Then the front comes through. Then late day, evening, it's rounds of heavy shower bands pushing through. So pretty active. We've got 55 tomorrow. Now tomorrow, once we get into the afternoon hours, way more dry than wet with developing sun. And then we're just gorgeous. 62 Friday, nearing 70 on Saturday, 73 on Easter Sunday. Would be the warmest of the year so far at PDX, and then still 69 degrees on Monday, and that is your forecast.